welcome to Podcast vs. Player, episode 223. I'm one of your hosts, Cal, and as always, I'm joined by a man who always said he'd have £5 on the Dalai Lama if he was a Tibetan man.
Not Tibetan. Oh, God.
It's only bloody Dan. He's only here with his finger guns, wagging them around like a maniac.
Always here.
How are you, mate?
I'm alright. It's still a bit bloody muggy
at
the moment. It's very humid and warm, but very rainy and awful. It's the worst part of both of our ecosystems at the moment.
Yeah,
it's not too hot and it's not too rainy. It's just both.
Just shit.
So it's brutal. Yeah, I've already had a cornetto tonight just to try and keep me cool.
I've got a new fan. You can't see it's off screen, but it's right here. But it comes with a remote, and I'm very tempted to just like boop.
What, just to flatten your hair over?
Just have it wipe the rest of the hair off my head.
Yeah. How you doing? You alright?
I'm not too bad, mate. I say it's very muggy. It's very just makes you feel all groggy and miserable. But
yeah,
it's better than snow.
Awful.
It's better than snow. So I hate
true.
the snow.
Yeah.
Anyway, big news, Dan. For 17 seconds of our life, we managed to see The Last of Us TV adaptation for HBO. Yes.
Yeah.
And whilst the internet has gone ablaze with craziness of how excellent it looks and how faithful it looks and how good Pedro is and how good the girl from Game of Thrones is, I disagree. And I don't think it looks bad, but I don't think it looks as good as everyone's saying. And it's also 17 seconds, which is not long enough to, for better or worse, have a good opinion on it. But I'm less sceptical than I was just off those 17 seconds. I'm still not super pumped for it, but I am more looking forward to it than I was. What did you think?
I've only ever played The Last of Us Part 1 for the PlayStation 3, so I've not even seen like a remastered one. I'll be getting it obviously when it comes out on PC inevitably. But it's been even though I've still got it and I've still got my PS3, I think I've completed it twice. But you know how shit my memory is, and by this point I'm hoping that most people remember how shit my memory is. I don't remember anything that happens in it.
Oh wow.
Like, I remember like little story beats, I remember certain characters popping in or out, but in terms of like anything else that happens in it, like any sort of like interesting kind of like conversation or any deep moments, don't remember any of that. So again, that's what works best.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword, because it means that I'll forget about it, but it means that when I inevitably play it again, it's a brand new experience.
It's
so I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. But there wasn't anything that sort of like smacked of nostalgia. It was just sort of like, oh my god, this just looks like whatever. Like with the Halo trailers, for example's sake. Like, it's just like, oh my god, those are all Spartans, that's a Pelican, like everything, I recognise everything here.
Yeah.
And I've watched the first episode of Halo, Callum, and I've not been inclined to return to it. So a faithful recreation of everything just looking exactly the same doesn't necessarily mean, again, Uncharted, look at that.
Yeah.
And again, that one's more just sort of, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, more what they could do with The Last of Us, where it's just like, well, we've got the characters and we've got the kind of lore, and we sort of know, what happens, or the points that we want to hit. Other than that, though, it's going to be a totally different story. It's going to be nothing to do with the actual games itself. It's not like a shot-for-shot recreation of it. One, because you don't need to do that, because the games are its own film in that sense. Like, they are, like, again, Naughty Dog do this very, very well.
Cinematic title.
Exactly. It's its own movie that you are playing through, and it's not 2 hours, it's 50 hours or whatever. So, do you move away from that and say, well, if we just make the first Uncharted game as a movie, well, then people are just going to hold them up to each other and go, well, this isn't very good, is it, this remake of yours? The game's way better because that's what we all fell in love with. But if you go, well, we'll just have a departure from that, so you can't... So, like, if you're an actor and you're, like, playing a famous person, say, you can do one or two things. You can either try and perfectly recapture that person. You want to look
Yeah.
like them, you want to sound like them, the walk, the cadence of your voice, how you enunciate certain words or whatever, all of that has to match perfectly. And if you slightly fuck it up, the whole performance kind of suffers as a result of it.
Call you out on it.
Yeah. Or you go, well, I'm not going to try and do a perfect impression of it. I'm just going to try and, recreate the vibe of that person, if you want to think of it like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to talk like they did, but we're just still going to try and make them as close to that same person as we possibly can. So I think, from the impression that I'm getting from this, that it's not going to be a beat for beat Last of Us Part 1 remake or film or TV show adaptation of that. I think it's going to be, the story beats from it are going to be the same, the characters are going to be the same. So presumably the first episode will still be Joel and Sarah and Tommy is his name?
Yeah.
Tommy, yeah. I see, my memory's not that bad. I can remember certain bits.
I did say it as well. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I genuinely didn't hear that. But it's going to be that same thing, and the world's going to be falling apart, and then it will kind of, build up the rest of the season, with him meeting Ellie and kind of taking it from there. But that's not to say that it's going to be, all the locations are going to be the same. There might be certain, there's very big touching moments that have happened within the game, or big scenic views or whatever, and certain locales that are synonymous with the game, and people always think of that. So there may be sort of recreations of that, but I think that it's going to be like Uncharted in that sense, that there'll be certain things that you'll recognise, but it is not going to be a shot for shot. However, I think that this is going to be infinitely better than the Uncharted movie.
Mostly because Neil Druckmann's had a lot of involvement in the making of this show, which is, I like to think Neil Druckmann's the kind of guy that if he's not happy with it, it's not going to get released. He's
going to walk away.
Yeah, I don't know if he has that control over it, or whether it's just like George Lucas is still involved in the new Star Wars things, but ultimately it's not up to him what happens. It's just
it's like a passing sort of consultation, I guess.
Yeah. But what I know it's not going to be, mainly because within the 17 seconds we see Joel running out holding Sarah. We know what roughly the first episode is probably going to be like. But I would actually, and I know it wouldn't work for a big portion of the viewers, but for people like me, I would rather this show is that gap between Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us Part 2. So we already know what the fuck's happened in the thing, but we don't know. We've only got little bits of information that we learn in Part 2. But there is a big chunk of time that passes, and I would prefer this show to be that middle section. Obviously it won't work for everybody else that hasn't played 1 or they haven't played 2.
Well, this is the other thing though, is that you also you're not making a TV show for people who have played and loved the game. You're making a TV show for anyone that's got a HBO subscription, or access to it as part of their TV, or a VPN, yeah. But so that's what I mean. If you go too close to the story, for one, you can't really do that, because an element of the story is it's your interactions with things, although it's not an open-ended story exploration or whatever, Mass Effect, say.
No, but games like Last of Us are, even though the ending of the game for me is same as the ending of the game for you, but we will both have different emotions going from the beginning. Again, there's no choices to be made, like you say, like Mass Effect or Knights of the Republic or those kind of story games, but it's a personal thing, and particularly with the first one, when spoilers for a pretty old game, actually no, because you've forgotten things, so I'm not going to go into it, but
okay, yeah, good idea.
Towards the end, when something happens, there's a big for me personally anyway, there was a big surge of emotion that was to be had with that, and it's not a choice, but you can choose to do something in that scene or not. I kind of want to just say
I'm glad that you didn't say, because I have no idea what you're on about.
When I suggest you play it again as soon as you can.
No.
Well, can I just say it then or not?
No, I mean, I'm going to wait until it's out on PC. I'm not going to go play an old fucking PlayStation 3 game.
I won't go into it then, but you 100%.
I've just been playing Spider-Man. Like it looks insane.
I've just been but I've been watching all the mods people are doing for like Kingpin and whatnot. They're amazing.
It took them like a week.
It
took them a week before.
Not even that.
I saw one that was Uncle Ben's grave, like zipping about and battering people.
There's some.
Like,
there's
it
some
takes them no time.
Suits, Black Cat. Someone's taken because you've completed Spider-Man, haven't you?
Again, this was on the PS4 when it first came out, so it's still been a while. But I can't remember how. I don't really know how far I'm into it. I mean, I've got all the DLC as part of the PC game, but like, it's kind of like, you know, Mr. Negative's kind of revealed himself, and I've already collected like all the backpacks and all the pigeons, and do you know what I mean? Like, I've already done all the side missiony stuff because one, I love just swinging about. It's amazing.
Amazing. It's fantastic.
It's spectacular. Yeah, did you just say fantastic? It's like the only word that's. It's not the fantastic Spider-Man. It's the spectacular Spider-Man, the amazing Spider-Man. It's not the fantastic Spider-Man.
There's a fantastic Spider-Man.
Is that when he's in the Fantastic Four?
No, that's Future Foundation. You've got Superior Spider-Man. Future Foundation is
the white suit.
The white suit. Fantastic Four. Got like Wolverine, Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's a weird iteration. I think because there's it's in like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I think if you can have that set up, I think with like Wolverine and Spider-Man and some of the Fantastic Four. It's like suit. You get a. Yeah, it's good, right? I did have it for a bit, but I keep on going back to the Civil War.
Yeah.
Like Tom Holland first suit or the Amazing Spider-Man suit. It just looks so good. It really does. But
we've got. Is it Fantastic Bagman?
That was already unlocked. There was a bunch of the ones that didn't actually have any suit powers that you don't have to unlock by completing the story. So like the Black
Cat one,
multiverse of not multiverse. What was the last Spider-Man film? No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Like the black and gold, like inside out suit.
Yeah.
That was on there. So I was like, they've still updated it.
Yeah,
after,
they were just updates that you got. There was a couple of them that they did, and it was just updated with the game. You didn't have to do anything for it. But there's a cool Black Cat suit where you get.
I finished all the Black Cat missions.
I like that.
Again, you don't get anything for it, but you just get like the black with like the red.
Yeah.
Spider on this side. Like, but I think that might actually be the one I've got on at the moment. Oh no, I think it's the Night Monkey suit from Far From Home. I think that's what I've got at the moment. But like there's so much of the story that I've just forgotten. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that there's other things to do in this, and there's all the DLC to go through as well. So I've kind of killed off the longevity of it because I've already done all the fucking side missions. Bits. Yeah, but
it's fun just swinging about. I put a lot of hours into both Spider-Man and Miles Morales, and a big portion of that is just swinging about and just. I like trying to take a photo, like when he's like his legs are kind of up and his arms are down, but he only does it on certain swings. And I always try and get a photo, like go to photo mode and get a picture of it, but I'm always just off.
Right. Well, but that my point being. That because I hadn't played this Spider-Man since it came out on PS4, so when I was playing it now, it's on max settings.
Yeah.
It's not like as good as it could be because I've not got an RTX card, but it still looks fucking amazing as it is. Yeah. And the next time I play The Last of Us again, I won't remember any of the things that happen in it, but it's going to look as I remember it looking. If I reckon if I go and play it now, I'd be like, oh god, this looks not very good anymore. Like comparatively, this looks a bit dog shit.
It still looks okay. I mean, I had it on PS3, and then I had the remaster for PS4, and then got the upgrade for PS5 and Last of Us Part 2. But I haven't got a Last of Us Part 2. Is the remaster out yet for that? For Part 2?
I thought they were being released simultaneously, or they were going to be.
I can't remember.
But this is the thing, right? Because if my PC can now play Spider-Man as it would have been on a PS5, well, as it would be on a PS5, it means that any of the remakes that they've done for the PS5, so Miles Morales and The Last of Us games and all that kind of stuff, all of them will run on here absolutely fine as well. So now it is just a waiting game. So I'm probably far more excited to wait another 3 years to play The Last of Us on PC than I am to watch this show. But HBO, they also made Watchmen, Callum. That's my only saving grace at this point, of just like, maybe they could absolutely crush this.
This was going to be my other counter. Like, I think Watchmen's an excellent film. However, the worst part of Watchmen is the fact that it is panel for panel from the graphic novel, and I think that's at its detriment. And whilst I love it, and you love it, and thousands, potentially millions of other comic book fans do love it, your average moviegoer, it's long, it's tedious, it's drawn out, and I can fully understand why a lot of people don't like that film. And I think Watchmen is a perfect example of something that you should go, what translates well, what can we change, and this, that, and the other.
The show, you mean?
No, the movie, not the show. The show is where that's where I think they picked it back up, and it was vastly different to the comics. And like I say, I love the movie, but my biggest problem with it is it's too authentic. But
I get what you mean in this. Like, it's aesthetically, it looks identical in a lot of senses, but like the story it's not the same.
No.
They've changed a lot of the elements of the story.
They've certain points out of it and made it work for the screen, but visually the panels it is basically shot for shot. If you were reading the comic, and because of the changes they make, it affects it more negatively than it does positively. I still love it. I still think it's excellent, but I much prefer the TV show to the movie.
That I agree with.
Pardon you. Never selling ice cream.
That Len just set his car alarm off. Apologies. I think it's going to be. I think it will be either fine, or it will be. Oh, they need to make 50 seasons of this.
Yeah,
I just don't think there's going to be in between for it. Like, because again with Halo, it's just sort of like, oh, it looks fine, but it doesn't look like it's going to be super engrossing. And it just, again, it's smacked so much of like, you don't really know what Halo, like why people like Halo, do you?
The director had openly said he doesn't know any. He's never played any of the games or read any of the books. So why the fuck are you making it?
Yeah, like you'd want someone who, like, look at Dredd.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your Judge Dredd with your Stallone. It's just like, get his helmet off and get Stallone's face in it and, shout catchphrases or whatever. And then you've got Just Dredd with Carl Urban, where they were just like, well, let's just try and actually make it, like, not overly violent and not, like his hyper mental city.
Yeah.
Let's just turn it down to about a 6 and we'll just, make it a Dredd film about that. And that was an amazing film. So, we didn't get to see any clickers, though, which makes me think that either they haven't finished, like, tweaking everything to make sure it looks great,
we saw some
or
of
that is going to be
the spawn
a big
on the
reveal.
Wall. I think.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. It's like it's people crouched behind a thing with things going.
I'm going to call it. Do you know when I reckon we will see it on the next trailer? Oh, again, I can't, because you can't remember things. I don't want to spoil it.
You're right, I can't remember things.
So, it's like as a pivotal moment. Not pivotal, that's the wrong word. Like there's an iconic moment that happens in the game when you're upside down.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You do that like twice, I think.
Potentially,
you get caught in a trap and whipped up.
Yeah, you're in that little warehousey room thing.
Yeah.
I think it's the one where the fridges come down and Ellie's trying to cut the rope. I think that's going to be the scene in the trailer where we see something for the first time.
You could be right. I think it's either going to be something like that, where it's memorable if you know it, or it'll be something like from Fellowship of the Rings. Like when all the hobbits are hiding under the tree stump.
I say I don't know.
Oh yeah, of course you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, have you? But basically, it's like, again, it's kind of a very iconic thing. So there's like all these, it's bloody Elijah Wood and all them like hiding under this thing, and then it's just this Nazgul, I think it is, this like huge, like cloaked awful demon monster thing that's just kind of like sniffing around them, like trying, and they're just sort of like, well. So it just like it seems like either it's going to be like a big action sequence where it's just like cutting one in half or whatever, or it's going to be
like tense.
They are hiding from this thing and it's just clicking around in the darkness trying to find them. But
they need to do the clicking
potentially.
Justice.
Like I can forgive that, the actors don't look exactly like their animated counterparts. Sure, like people, you can't have everyone looking exactly the same. It's fine. They won't sound the same. They're going to talk and walk and whatever, But if you've got a weird, like, fungus covered bad guy that's sort of like just like doing all that, if it's not exactly that, then you fucked up.
No, it's got to be 100% accurate. There's some of the most unnerving creatures in a game.
Yeah, they're really awful.
The horrible looking things. And I watched episode 1 of Resident Evil on Sunday on Netflix.
Did you? The Netflix?
It's dog shit. Yeah. It's fucking dog shit. And I mustered through one episode, and it didn't get any better. And once that had finished, I was like, I'm never gonna watch it ever again. But the zombies in that, the dog looked pretty good. The like the zombie
licky dogs.
That looked not too bad. Wasn't the worst thing in the world. But the zombies, they were just people in makeup, not good makeup. They were just people, and just from
like an experienced day kind of,
not even
like
that
a Halloween.
Good. Not even that
really?
Good. Yeah. There was a big like zombie like slug monster thing that came from underground. It was like 40 foot tall, and CGI wise that looked pretty decent. But the zombies themselves, they just moved about, like the way they looked and the way they moved and everything else. It was just like, I know it's unbelievable because they're zombies, but at no point did I not think that was a person with bad makeup. And I was just like, considering how good that worm thing looked, and I'm pretty sure that there was a rabbit.
Because all the budget went on it, that's why.
But potentially they blew it all on that. And I didn't like the story. I didn't like the where the story was going.
Oh, I'm so going to watch this now just so I can moan about it as well.
It's
because like I know he got absolutely slated, but I thought it's just sort of like, oh, well, is that just not people again just sort of jumping on the bandwagon? Like I think Prey got the same sort of thing. Like when Prey came out, everyone was just like, this is amazing. Like you fucking done it. Well done, guys. And then all the sort of like well, actually, I don't think it's very good at all. Yeah. So review bomb. And then all the people who don't want to be in, a part of the mainstream, all of a sudden they go, well, I thought it was terrible, actually.
Yeah. But no, it's just shit. And they did the right thing. So it's not about Leon. It's not about Claire. It's not about any. Well, there is one. Well, it's not a spoiler. It's about Wesker, but they've also completely changed that character as well. And he's.
Well, wasn't he like part of the? Again, I haven't really played Resi that much, but wasn't he part of like the original like assault team or something that was going into?
So yeah, he's got ties within, deep within Umbrella anyway, and like he was part of the experience and stuff. Obviously, you've got like Nemesis and this, that, and the other, and you know how much I don't like the Mila Djokovic movies. I fucking hate them. I think they're fucking awful. They're abysmal, and I'd probably like them more if they wasn't Resident Evil and it was just generic zombie movie. I'd give them a bit more credit, but I really don't like them. But they do Wesker better in that than they have in this. And he doesn't feel like Wesker. He's a very good actor, and for what he's doing, he does a good job, but it doesn't work for this. I think it would be better if he was just a new character. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just shit. But I really like the advert they did in, I think it was in Time, somewhere in New York, and they had a billboard of a like a containment cage, and then a licker breaks out of it, but it's crawling around the building. It was amazing.
Oh, like one of those 3D billboard things.
It looks so
good. I think
good.
I've seen the ones in Tokyo. I think it is like they look insane. Yeah. Like the quality of them.
Like if the TV show was just that, I'd have watched all 8 episodes.
But, is that all there is? Only 8?
Yeah.
Well, as you're not going to be around this week, which means that we're not going to get any new content recorded at all, I'll just watch the entirety of Resident Evil and be like, Callum, it salvages itself by episode 3. It's incredible.
I know for a fact it doesn't. The reviews have not been kind.
No, but again, if people have done what you've done and watched the first episode and go, oh, this is dog shit, and then they haven't gone back and given it a chance.
Well, I saw. I don't know whether it's just because I watched it. I had a thing pop up on Google News yesterday, funnily enough, which was a weird day because it's been out for a few weeks now. But it said season 2 of Resident Evil, Netflix's Resident Evil, unlikely. I was like,
no shit.
Yeah. But it's not. I imagine someone liked it, and I imagine maybe it does get better, but it's not. I love Resident Evil, and I hated every second of it.
Well, I'm not really fussed about Resident Evil. Like, I've got no strong feelings on it one way or the other. Like, I've played it with you. I've played it on my own a couple of times, but I'm just not particularly into it.
Well, I wasn't.
But I've watched.
No, I was going to say the director had said he hopes they get picked up because he was looking at the next season would have been about the village, which is the newest one. It's like, how the fuck can you go from this to that? Like, the very different fucking. The Resident Evil this thing's based on is a very different Resident Evil to 7 and 8.
Well, that's the thing. Like, 7, I think, is even on Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's free and it's there, and I still can't be asked to get round to it.
That's a scary game.
Well, that's also another good reason. But like with Alien Isolation, that was a scary game, at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure that people will like, that's not scary. As far as I'm concerned, that's as scary as I want to go. But I also love the Aliens franchise.
Yeah.
So that was enough for me to go, I'll deal with the spooks and the jump scares and the cheap thrills.
Alien, though,
but I don't care enough about Resi to kind of put myself through that.
See, I've grown up. Like, Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, well, Code Veronica, 4, 5, 6. None of them are scary in the slightest. They're just B-movie horror titles. But 7 and 8, pretty scary stuff. Like, on par with, like, Outlast and stuff like that. Like, they're a lot different. It's a much different Resident Evil. For the better, it's really good.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I was at school when Resident Evil came out. I think it was Director's Cut was the first one I ever played. And there was a really cool one on GameCube that I can't remember the name of, but you controlled 2 characters, and there was a bloke who was he'd just come out of prison, and the girl you played, she's like transported him on a train to wherever he's going. Obviously there's an outbreak and whatnot, but you control her with the left stick and him with the right stick, and you control them both. And it was a really cool, like, game. Wasn't scary at all, but I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, no, I've not heard of that.
I can't remember for the life of me. I want to say Resident Evil 0. That's what I want to say, but I could be wrong.
Right.
I don't think it reviewed very well, but I liked it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, like, 7 and 8 are probably the only ones that I'd just be like, oh, actually that seems like it's like a really actually like solid, well put together game. But like, even just playing like the remakes of like 1 and 2, I just can't get past like the fucking like inventory system. I hate it.
Well, that's why it's called survival, though. It's having to. You've got to make a choice. I haven't got space to carry this. I need to fucking. Not realistic, but like, I need to manage. You've got to manage the inventory, and sometimes you'll make a mistake, and you go, "I should have brought that with me instead and left this behind." And obviously, I think it came about from limitations.
Callum, no. I want to play it like GTA. I want to play it like Doom. I want 50 guns, and I want to be able to blow through motherfuckers as soon as they start scaring me, right? Like, at least Alien, it gave you the impression that you could do something about it. It gives you a shotgun and a flamethrower. You can't kill it, but you can spook it off for a little bit. And I feel better if I can shoot something. But if I go, well, if I shoot this one, there could be 3 more in there, and I need those bullets for it. So then I've got to go and find a key to open it. Oh, fuck off!
I still think
cannot be bothered.
Us playing the Resident Evil 2 remake, I still think it's one of the best videos we've done. You.
I couldn't give a shit.
But like, I remember you shoot yourself all the way through it.
That's why I'd run out of shits to give.
That one that jumped out the locker was amazing. After we finish this, I'm going to go back and find the clip because it's still one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Fine. In horror games as well, for God's sake. Oh, fuck! For fuck's sake! Fucking shit, my fucking cocking pants, you fucking shit cunt.
You need to get the...
Oh, fuck! Fucking bell end.
And we
Oh, fucking Christ!
Then we
Fucking Christ! Fuck me. Fucking fucker. Jesus Christ. But I think, what was the last Mijokovic Resident Evil? Was it Extinction? Or Final
Destination, Extinction, Jurassic.
I don't know. It feels like it's a very early mid 2000s kind of vibe to it. It's just all bleached desert and gross. But I remember watching that because I think it was on Netflix. It was like, sort of like maybe like a Leaving Now kind of deal.
Yeah.
And my God, it was fucking painful to watch.
I don't even think I've seen all of the new ones.
It was just like, because they just made up a new character and then like a bullshit story to go along with it.
Oh my God, there's way more. Resident Evil Apocalypse, Extinction, Afterlife, Retribution, and the final chapter. 2016, the last one came out.
Final chapter, is that the one where it's, I think Wesker might be back in it again? Or does like someone that's like in a tank or something?
Yeah, Alice is betrayed by Wesker in Washington DC. She encounters the Red Queen who tells her she must return
yeah,
to
because
where the nightmare
it's
began.
not Wesker from the first one. It's the fella who plays. He's like Baron von Strucker in Ultron, and he's James McAvoy's dad in Wanted. I think that's who plays him. Or is it him? He plays like a weird, like religious zealot or something. He runs a cult. I don't know. It was shit. Whatever it was, whichever one it was, I couldn't tell you, but it was shit. I can tell you that much.
The last one I remember watching was the one where Wesker got his teleportation powers.
I don't care. I don't care for you even to give me context behind it.
Honestly,
I do not care.
I remember there being a big boat thing, but it's another one of those films, much like the Fast and Furious. One of the last Fast and Furious movies I watched was the one where they steal the vault, and it's chained to the two cars, and they drag it out and they're driving through. But I was watching another film on Sky Movies, and Zoe fell asleep on my arm, and then that started playing after because I couldn't get across to get the remote. And I was just like, fuck's sake. And then it got so far in, and she'd rolled off my arm. I was like, I may as well finish it now. I've got this far. And now that Resident Evil was another similar situation where it's like, well, I'm already 40 minutes in. I may as well fucking watch the rest of it. But I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you which one it is.
No, they're not distinctive enough. Except for the first one with the lasers.
I was just about to say with the lasers when he gets cut up.
Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, name me a Resident Evil game that happens in. Does it? Like, I'm genuinely asking. Nope. I don't know. Like, is that like a cool like gauntlet thing you've got to run to get to a virus AI?
No.
Is that a thing?
No.
No.
There's no.
Well, then it's just dog shit, isn't it? So that's the thing, Callum. Either you get The Last of Us that you're not particularly happy about because maybe the vibe isn't quite there, or you get more Resident Evil movies.
No, I'll take Pedro Pascal's Joel over any.
Exactly. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
I'm glad. Good.
The old
good full circle. Good to get us back.
Maybe we have that as like a measuring stick from this point onwards.
Resident
so
Evil.
Like, there's a new. Yeah, it's like a new game. So there's like another Uncharted movie coming out. It's like, well, do you want Uncharted 2 or do you want another Resident Evil movie?
Yeah, very true. Unless it's a good Resident Evil movie. There was a Resident Evil movie lately, like a new one. But that again, awful reviews.
What? I thought there was the Netflix show and that was
Welcome to Raccoon City.
What?
It came out. It's got 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. It came out last year.
God.
25th of November last year.
Like, there can't be a single of those, like, any Resident Evil properties, except maybe, like, some of the animated stuff that they did for Netflix,
really
maybe.
Good. Regeneration and Degeneration are excellent films.
Yeah, so, like, other than those, there can't be any of those live-action things that have got a Rotten Tomatoes score of, like, more than 60, I'd wager.
I'd say that's too high.
And yet they'd still pump them out. I don't get it.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if it's just because the games are so popular.
Yeah, it's a big
But then
name.
they must realise that the people who are buying the games don't give a shit about this sort of stuff because they know it's not going to be any good.
But that's how they get away with it though. Because like the Mila Djokovic movies, they'll go on the poster with like the best-selling Resident Evil movie franchise because it technically is.
Well, yeah, it's easy enough when it's the only fucking one. Yeah.
When you're going against this fucking bullshit, then everyone's a winner. But I did see on Netflix there is a Tekken animated series.
I saw that.
And it looks pretty good.
I meant to mention that to you the other day. I don't know if like something like Tekken is like the kind of thing. It was just like because there's not really a story, or
I mean there
you
is,
don't
but it's
give a shit about the story.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same as it's like Soul Calibur. Like what the fuck happens in that? But there's technically a story.
Yes.
Like no one cares. It's like it's a medieval princess who's also fuck off.
Yeah, they're all trying to get the sword. The Soul Calibur's the sword. It's like the big.
Yeah, I know, but there's a pirate and a samurai, and like none of these people should ever meet in at any point. Like at least the Mortal Kombat movie, like the new one, it made a reasonable attempt to kind of like make a coherent story that had some cool action in it. I mean, it failed at the story, but the action was pretty great. Like the casting was really good. Yeah. Like there was some really solid moments of that. Like that was probably a great stab at like a tournament fighter, like a 1v1 tournament fighter, and turning that into a movie. Like
the best one.
The only thing that this Tekken movie could be is just that it's just focusing in on
Jin.
Individual characters.
Yeah,
and Jin. Yeah, probably.
It seems to be focusing on Jin living up to the Kazama name, and then he goes to his grandfather Hiachi, so he's going to teach him, and then it's going to be all.
Does he like become a demon or something at one point?
Jin does, yeah. But his dad had demon powers. Hiachi's got demon powers, and then Jin gets the so you can become like Devil Jin or whatever the fuck it's called. But that's that. It just plays. It's basically a trailer, but you just leave it and it starts playing some of the stuff.
I didn't actually watch it. Is it subtitled at least? Is it like
I think it's available.
Japanese?
The thing came up as in English, but I imagine you can select, because I'd prefer to watch it in Japanese if it is. But it genuinely looks pretty good. So
it's like Cobra Kai. Like that's supposed to be really good as well. But that's like 5 seasons in now, and I'm just like, oh god, is it too late to even start?
It's not 5, is it?
I saw it. There was a poster, I think, that was for the newest season. Not to say that it's out or that it's out soonish, but I think it was like it was either 4 or 5. I think. So currently, 96%, like 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I honestly thought it was on season 3 or something.
And the first episode came out in 2018. That tells you something, doesn't it? So in 4 years, that's like a season a year.
That's ridiculous.
Fucking barreled through this, and it's really good apparently as well. But this is it. Like now, it's gotten to the point. It's like Game of Thrones. It's like Breaking Bad. It's just like it's like 4 seasons in. I'll wait until it's finished, then I'll go and watch them all.
Breaking Bad's
and then I never get
worth watching.
Get right into it.
Watching. What was the other one you said? Game of Thrones. I could take or leave it, but the new prequel series is out today, I believe.
But then he's sort of like, oh well, if there's another season about, well, I'll wait until that one's finished. Like eventually, by the time I'm 84 years old, I might get around to watching Game of Thrones, and then I'll read the book and go, oh, the book's way better anyway.
Yeah, the last one's still ain't out yet. I'm 87, and George R.R. Martin still hasn't released it.
Yeah, even though he would be like 142 by that point. That's true.
I don't know why we went on to that, because we got stuff else to talk about. But I saw a video yesterday for I think it was for a Kickstarter or something. But someone's made a mod of The Simpsons Hit and Run for PC, and it replaces the entire game for Futurama, and it looks amazing.
Oh no, that's not. I've seen someone who I think is like maybe they just built in the whole thing from scratch, but they've got.
I've been watching that from the first episode up to the newest one's not out yet, but he's building the entire.
It's like
game.
talking about like how they're making the AI work and that kind of stuff, which looks pretty great. But no, I hadn't seen one that was the same thing but Futurama.
This one doesn't look anywhere near as good as this. I forgot the guy's name, but I like him because he sounds like Jazza from George Jazza. He's just got like a typical Australian voice, but he sounds just like him. But it's really interesting seeing him like doing the stuff like in Unreal and everything. But this one, it's replaced the entire city of Springfield with like the world of Futurama. You play Bender, Fry, Layla. I can't remember who the other playable character is.
Layla,
Potato, Patata. But
one's a song.
All the vehicles, all the voices. Like, it looks genuinely very, very good, and it's just a mod for the PC version of it, so anybody can play it. But they look pretty cool. But speaking of new things with people in them and females and CGI, She-Hulk started.
Wow, that was an almost segue, wasn't
it? Again, mixed reactions, Dan.
I kind of really like
I
it.
really enjoyed it.
I think that in this season so far, I kind of go, oh, I wish that she'd kind of been like instead of like the Professor Hulk that we've had in like Ultron and in fucking Endgame and Infinity War and all that, with the Mark Ruffalo. Like, I like the mad, insane, smash everybody up Hulk that Ruffalo Hulk is. But in terms of just sort of like part Hulk, part person, I kind of prefer her.
Yeah.
Like, she just seems like a more interesting kind of person. And the fact that she like just lays it on him, just like he's like, oh, I've figured out this like whole system, and she's like, motherfucker, I know how to do all this. Like, I'm constantly annoyed. It's the same deal as you. I'm just better at handling it than you are.
It's
like I just think it works, and it was like as a first episode for the season as well, and then they can just be like, done. Now we can get into why she's knocking about.
Yeah,
and,
I think it's done a better
like her
job.
story.
This is the better first episode of the Disney Plus shows.
With the exception of Loki, I think I'll probably give you that.
Actually, mate, Loki was pretty good. I mean,
because that really set that tone hard.
Like,
again, there's not a bad one amongst them.
I really like the first episode of WandaVision, I'll be honest, but I can see why they put 2 out, because
I think with that it was more just, it wasn't a case of, oh, this is just like, that was more a case of, what is this?
It's just bonkers.
Like, what is going on with this now? Like, trying to unravel that kind of mystery behind it was more interesting than like things being laid out. So, like, if I remember rightly, doesn't she get like, it's the same kind of thing as Beast Boy? Like, doesn't she get like a blood transfusion from Bruce in the comics, and that's how she gets her Hulk powers?
So it's a similar setup to this, where she ends up obviously receiving, spoilers for She-Hulk if you haven't watched it on Disney Plus. She ends up getting the blood from Bruce, because they've got very similar biology.
I think that's a very sort of like hand wavy, like, yeah, that's why you're not dead.
Yeah, it's just
like, yeah, you got the same genes, so sure. That's why this insane amount of radiation didn't kill you immediately.
Because that's the thing. Like, should that happen to somebody else, would they just die?
Well, but that's what happens in the Incredible Hulk. Like Edward Norton,
the Norton
Hulk,
one,
who's still the same Hulk. He cuts himself, and a drop of blood lands in some drink that goes to Stan Lee, who drinks that. So presumably, if this is to be believed, Stan Lee got an unbelievable dose of deadly radiation in that drink and killed him immediately.
But it did.
So I'd have much preferred to have seen that.
Because
like, if he just went and just melted, and like that's how they figured out, oh my god, this is, Banner DNA or whatever.
Because effectively, that the amount of radiation that would be in it would be massively lethal. Like, I know it's not real, but just assuming that it is, the odds of you surviving that are real fucking slim.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
why he was like, when she drags him out the car and he's like, I'm bleeding, like instantly. He's like, get away from me, like, you don't want to get this anywhere near you. And then instantly, I like the fact that it was just like, drip, bang, you're a Hulk.
There's no mess.
Like, there was like a sort of like a slow build up, and she, and then something happens, and she gets annoyed, and she goes all green or whatever. Yeah, it was just sort of like, you're a Hulk now, that's it. Straight in. I think that, I don't know, I like the sort of like the beach hut thing. I like them kicking the shit out of each other for a bit. And like because the way that the trailers sold it was, or at least, again, I don't know if they edited it like that on purpose, but, Bruce threw a boulder, and then she threw a boulder, and then her boulder went further. So it seemed like they were saying, actually, she's going to be stronger than this Hulk. Maybe not like mad, insane Hulk, but... And then he just picks up that one and just like throws it into orbit, and I was like, okay, well they still know that they're like, no, he's definitely still stronger than her. So he would still be holding back, because she's just unloading on him for a bit, because she's like losing her mind a bit, and he's just like, I'll deal with you, but I'm not gonna literally kick the shit out of you.
Yeah, so got to hold back, and like Smart Hulk's not as strong as Standard Hulk. Because obviously his strength comes from hulking out
rage,
and you see it in Endgame when they go back in time and he has to blend in a bit, and she's like, bruh. He's just like got no enthusiasm at all. But I don't think it's a Wonder Woman Superman situation where, because she hasn't got the weaknesses, Wonder Woman is arguably stronger than Superman, but there's no way She-Hulk can be stronger than Hulk.
I don't think that they've tried to allude to that. Like, I reckon if you got like Scarlet Witched Hulk from Ultron, who's just absolutely who has to like go up against Hulkbuster to try and take him out. I reckon if you put them two in a room, he would tear her apart.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like, I think it is purely just Bruce just sort of like, no, you need to, like, I know what I'm doing, and then she just sort of holds her own against him.
Yeah.
But that's fine, because we've already seen, like, the Hulk origin story. Do we need to see that again? Where, like, every time she sort of loses control a bit, you know, we've seen all of that.
Well, you get the...
Like, I much prefer it where she can just turn it on and off.
Yeah, and she's literally just go...
Yeah, and everyone in the court is just like...
Wait, what?
So you're a Hulk as well, I guess.
Well, I mean,
okay, sure.
Like, she kind of alludes to it at the thing, like at the beginning, and she's just like, "Oh, you probably need to know how we got to this situation," and you get the feeling that it is kind of a rushing through the story so they can get back to the courtroom bit, which makes sense because she's just telling us what happened. But I really want. Have you ever watched Harvey Bird, Attorney at Law? Harvey Birdman.
No.
So it's an old Adult Swim cartoon of he's a lawyer who represents like supervillains and superheroes, but he's also a superhero as well. And it caught my attention. I mean, it's been out years and years and years and years and years. And when I was younger, it caught my attention because his mask looks like Wolverine. So, but in a suit. Right, okay. But it's really funny. But that's what I want this to be. I want this to be a live action Harvey Birdman, where we're getting really obscure people that she's representing. Sometimes funny, sometimes maybe not funny, but
it's like a bunch of C-listers.
Yeah, so not necessarily. We haven't she's not representing Ultron or anyone like that. It's just like
Kingpin.
Yeah, not even that. Like Stiltman or Squirrel Girl, or like just such people that we haven't.
Squirrel Girl would be a great inclusion for this.
Just like really obscure
I think that like
characters.
With that humour as well. I think would be really cool to bring her in.
Even Deadpool or someone like I think someone like Deadpool should be the biggest A-lister you get. Maybe because it's an easy way to introduce him into it, and just to have them both fourth wall breaking together. So it's like, even if she turns the camera, says something, and he's like, "You can see them too." It's like something like that. Like, it needs to be like a cameo, but I want that show to be that. I think it would work really well.
Well, the woman who fly kicks through the fucking
Jamal.
Yeah, so she, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't she the woman from The Good Place?
Yes.
Like the socialite. Because I really like her in The Good Place, and with what I've seen of her in this, I was just like, there is no context for any of this. Like, obviously, that will be explained as to who she is and what she is, but character-wise,
I don't know who she is.
Again, you know me, I do not know. I don't look into these things at all. I just want to experience them as they happen. Is this a person that I should know?
I don't know who it is. Just basing it off
right. Okay, that's fine.
Again, I haven't looked into who she is. But fun fact, you recognise Jamil Jamal from the Good Place. Do you know she was originally a presenter on Channel 4 on a Sunday morning?
Really?
Well, prior to that, she was a catwalk model, and then she was a presenter with whatever the show Vernon Kay used to do on a Sunday morning.
No, are you thinking of what's her face? Makita something.
No, that was Simon Amstell and Makita Oliver on Pop World.
Makita Oliver, that was her. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a presenter many moons ago. And now she's a big Hollywood A-lister.
Now she's bloody Marvel. Wow. But I would like to see not like a C-lister of the week kind of thing, but just some obviously like in Daredevil was like, the Punisher, like him defending, that was like a big deal for that show, because not only it was a big character, but it was still him doing his job. Whereas when you've got aliens and lasers and gods and God knows what else, like it's a bit more. You can get away with some more of the wacky stuff. So like you could have like you say like a Stiltman or like a Chitauri general or something like that who's really annoyed that he's been arrested and he's just really really fed up with the whole Earth's judicial system. But you could have like some kind of cool silly characters that you could bring through, and again with sort of like the fourth wall of just sort of like, who the fuck is this guy? Like I think this show could be like Miss Marvel. I think was supposed to be like one of the comedy shows, or like it was a bit more lighter.
Yeah,
and like I think for the most part it was kind of fun. Like I think the parents were really funny in it.
The dad.
The dad was so good. Like I want him to pop up in more shit for sure. But I think that maybe what's her name, Tatiana,
something like that.
Something or other. He plays. I've forgotten her name as well. The character's name.
Miss Marvel.
No, fucking She-Hulk.
Oh my god.
That's embarrassing.
Jennifer,
of course it is.
Saunders.
So, yeah. I've been watching I watched the entirety of the Vicar of Dibley over the weekend.
Oh my god.
So there's a Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders reference that no one will get.
To be fair, I didn't immediately because I was like, I'm pretty sure she wasn't in the Vicar of Dibley, but they used to do
no.
that.
Yeah, their comedy show. Yeah, but there was what was I going to say? Like, I think she's killing it. I think she's already like taken this character and she's having fun with it, and it seems like it's going to be a bit more tongue in cheek rather than like the Daredevil's like, oh my god, everyone's a serial killer and a murderer, and I better if I let them off, I better go outside and beat them up afterwards.
But that's the only thing I'm unsure of, because obviously we are going to see a lot of Daredevil in this show, and I don't want it to be the all-out crazy zany wacky adventures. Oh, and here's Daredevil. This is the first iteration.
Just brooding in the background.
Yeah, I don't think it'll work, but I've got a feeling we'll see Daredevil once in costume, and then the rest of it will be Matt Murdock representing against her.
I would like to see, like them, like, because again, I wonder if they'll figure out. I mean, because everyone in the courtroom knows that she's now a Hulk, and that's it. So like, he will know who she is very quickly. So presumably, if this is the same Daredevil from Far From Home, No Way Home, sorry. So that's the same Matt Murdock. Like he's already. It's got to be right. Like, why else would he be going to see Spider-Man and like being an attorney? Yeah. Although obviously he won't remember that because no one will. But if he is still like working for the so to do the same kind of job that she is, to like kind of represent heroes and villains or whatever, like them going against each other, I think would be great, because like you can't have them fight because
she'll kill him.
Of course they can't. Yeah, but like professionally going up against each other,
he could
I think that would be really interesting.
He's a very good
lawyer. Yeah, I mean maybe that's it. Like he knows that he couldn't take her out in the field, but in the courtroom, you've got nothing on me. I'll crush you. Like that would be a really kind of interesting concept to see, I think. Or like they work on the same defense for some other, again, another C-lister or whoever. This random woman with the 70s bling, you just bust through the
karate kicking through the air.
What was that about? I don't know. Again, I'm hoping this is explained away quite satisfactorily. Otherwise, what a ridiculous way to introduce someone.
I saw an article the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but a reputable source anyway, about theoretically Daredevil could take a punch from Superman, and I was like, what? So I read it. Basically, because of the senses and the training that he's taken on. So, do you remember Styx? In the comics, Styx and Stones both they trained with the. It's all about. It's got ties to Iron Fist and stuff, but it's all about the chi, and where you basically train your mind and body to withstand any attack, and whilst
like a Houdini kind of deal.
Basically, yeah, but to obviously a much more unrealistic level. But essentially, as long as Superman just did it the once, he could train his body to withstand it. But if he was just fucking wailing into him, obviously he wouldn't be able to concentrate and wouldn't be able to. Now, it's never proven, it's never happened in the comics, obviously, because it's DC and it's Marvel. But I don't think Daredevil's ever gone against anybody like that, like the equivalent of Superman. So,
yeah.
I
mean, Iron Fist's punch, like when he's Iron Fisted up, you know, it's not to that level, but it is still obviously incredibly superhumanly strong.
He knocked Luke Cage on his ass, and he's basically invincible. Like,
exactly. Like, so it's rather. It's the whole kind of like, you know, it's using your own strength against you kind of thing. So he doesn't have to physically overpower you. He can just best you, know, through skill or speed or reflexes or whatever. So because I think it was more just sort of like, it's a cool thing to see. But if they're saying that, from what we saw in No Way Home, if they're saying that potentially, and it's not a sort of like a nudge, nudge, wink, wink thing, that Matt's reflexes are better than Peter's, then theoretically no one should really be able to land a hit on him.
Not really,
especially like a Hulk, where they're a bit slower and more, you know, a bit more lumbery. Theoretically, they should never be able to hit him, but that doesn't mean that he could actually do the damage to hurt them.
No, I don't think he'd be able to do it. He could probably get a few licks in, but it's not going to do anything because he hasn't got superhuman strength or anything like that. And we've already seen how to beat Daredevil in The Boys.
Yeah, you just smack him in the head as hard as you can.
Deafen him up.
Discombobulate him. Done.
But it's true though. And I mean,
but the roar, like they're roaring at each other on that island when they're battering each other. You scream in his ear like that.
Even just the fucking
he's out.
The thunderclap.
Oh, I quite like that she can't do like the big strong one, so she's just like a round of applause one that just sort of like it's like a sonic cannon. I kind of like that. Which she's 100% going to get used again. Like you don't do a little training montage and show her doing a million little claps to overpower someone without that coming back again.
I imagine we're going to see a lot of the things that Bruce went through with a comeback up, because I get the feeling Bruce isn't going to be in it as much as we thought he was going to be. I think he'll probably pop up.
But this is it. Maybe so, but I think probably. Well, no, because he's not going to revert back to Mark now, is he? Like now that he's got that like little device thing that sort of like helps him.
It, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah. Well, maybe they could go. We'll get Mark Ruffalo in, and you know, but then that means that maybe at some point we get not Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
We get actual like Ragnarok Hulk, like Warrior Hulk, who you know potentially could actually be a threat, and she needs to step in to kick shit out of him for a little bit. So maybe we'll get him coming back and doing some stuff like that. But I don't know. I thought that like Loki or something like that, or like WandaVision would be like more of an opening to sort of like some weird and wacky characters, and we just got more wacky Lokis in Loki, and we didn't really get anything other than Photon out of WandaVision and White Vision, I suppose.
Ralph Boner.
Oh yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah. But maybe this one is the sort of like, you know, she's just doing like court cases like a idiot of the week. Yeah. Like someone who's just found like a super suit or a bit of like, you know what Vulture did, sort of like building mad lasers or whatever.
But I would be happy
something
with
like
that. Like we say a lot, it's Monster of the Week, Villain of the Week, blah blah of the week.
It's a Smallville syndrome,
but this I think would work for it. And maybe have a couple of episodes where it's a two-parter case, but for the most part it's just they're representing this person, or Matt's representing this person, and they're going against each other in that sense. But I think it would work for this show. And the problem with Smallville and all of those kind of shows, all the CW got sold off as well, hasn't it? So
just after Gotham Knights got cancelled and Batgirl got cancelled, it's almost as if Warner Bros. Is giving up on their own properties because they don't have any faith in them anymore.
I mean, they could just condense them down and make another Swamp Thing, and
maybe just start again and just focus on the things that got absolutely rocking reviews.
Just look at the stuff that's doing well. Look at She-Hulk. Like, I mean, it's reviewed awfully, but
has it?
Yeah, it's been review bombed. So your GameSpot,
because
IGN, and everyone else have enjoyed it, but I don't know, female rights and all this stuff, it's not allowed. Review bomb. I don't know why it's been review bombed. I didn't really look into it.
It's the whole
it's just fucking everything. No one's happy, and which means everybody else has to be fucking miserable. But
yeah,
what people don't, I don't know whether they understand it or not. It's stuff like this that affects whether we get another season of something. Something might be particularly good, but I very rarely look at a review and go, well, I'm not going to go and see that. That was fucking awful. Because a review that's someone's opinion. My opinion is different to theirs. And even when we do our own reviews, it's not, you should 100% buy this and this is the best thing you can possibly get. It's just, I like it or I don't like it, but you still might not like it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I suppose it's a bit different for us because it's mostly like it's a microphone or it's a camera or something like that, rather than if you're looking to buy a camera or you're looking to buy a microphone, there's an option, rather than here's something that you need to sit down and invest time in to get into and whatnot. So I suppose they are different, but I know a lot of people that haven't watched She-Hulk because of the reviews. It's like, why?
Should we have a look and see what it's at the moment?
It's on a Wednesday on Disney.
Thursday, actually.
It is Thursday. Also, I haven't watched it, but there's a teaser trailer for Obi-Wan.
5.3 on... Oh, for the making of thing.
Is that what it is? Something
yeah,
of a Jedi. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I think it's like you know what they do with like Mando and
just
with
another
the
one
Marvel movies now.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So currently, IMDb 5.3. Rotten Tomatoes is 85, but potentially that's just the critic. Yeah, so 71 audience.
That's higher than it was.
And then just on like Google reviews, it's got 2.8.
Fuck off. Out of 10.
Do you want to read the first? I'll read you out the first. Wait, what? Right, so the first one that's 5 stars is talking about the Emoji Movie, so I don't quite know.
Will they listen to us earlier?
I don't know. So there's a 5-star review. It's about the Emoji Movie, and then 2 below that there's a 1-star review about the Emoji Movie, a cinematic masterpiece.
Well, it is. It's a phenomenal movie.
What the fuck? So, oh god, this one's huge. I'm not going to read this out. First time writing a review. After seeing the first episode, I felt the need compelled to tell the world their thoughts. And even enjoyed the other Disney Plus shows, thought they were fairly heavily blunt with the messaging. See, instantly, it's the go woke, go broke, bloody women's rights. This is the pinnacle of caring more about the message than the art of itself.
What's the message?
Deeply saddens me to see this. The message that women can do anything men can is a powerful and important message that we should all teach, but doing so in such a heavy-handed way, and the method of doing so by putting men down and labelling them all as bad, is not only offensive, and needs to destroy the message itself. If only they can show how strong women can be. They're putting men down. There's no fucking punctuation in any of this, by the way. There's no commas or anything. It's basically just sort of like...
I assume that's written by a man as well.
Oh, of course it is. So it's like it's the same sort of like, you know, when she sat there going to Bruce and saying, you know, when you've been catcalled and when you've done like, you know, find me a woman on the street. No,
yeah.
Right, that came out wrong. But speak to any woman and say, yeah, exactly. Like, have you ever come up against any kind of misogyny whatsoever?
All the time.
I can't. Knowing my own friends, I cannot think of a single one who hasn't come up against it in some version or another. When was the last time, Callum, for real, when was the last time anyone had a go at you because of either your gender, your sexual orientation, or your race?
Don't think I have, if I'm honest.
Genuinely, neither have I. And that's the point of this. It may seem like it's heavy-handed, but maybe that's because that you haven't had the exposure to it.
I didn't feel that
someone
it was
else would have.
Heavy-handed, though. And
see, personally, I would agree.
But if this was a different show, and so she doesn't turn into a Hulk or anything like that, and Mark Ruffalo is her cousin, and there's got a family thing they're going through, and maybe they haven't seen each other for a long time, and she's waiting for him to be picked up. But Mark Ruffalo is the star of this TV show, and it's the same setting. She's coming out the bar, and then she's getting catcalled, and they're trying to like, so, oh, where you going, baby? Blah 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 blah. I don't think anybody would be too like, because Mark Ruffalo's the star and that's just a scene in the thing, and he pulls up, picks her up, and then they fuck off. Nothing would be said, but I didn't see anything different that happened in She-Hulk that's not in every other TV show or movie where a woman is accosted or catcalled or just genuinely and not like. I don't know what.
And maybe if you think about it, the reason that maybe you don't see this particularly often, which is why people zero in on stuff like this in TV and movies of late, is because there's a huge surge in people trying to show that this shit happens. So just because a normal heterosexual straight normal boring old man, which is what we are. I wish I was more interesting than just being a normal straight white guy, but honestly, sometimes I do, because I just think I'd be just something for a bit of flavour, maybe, so I'm not just another number. But for them to see someone go, well, do you know what? Yeah, probably most people have either been catcalled or assaulted or raped or, by someone that they know. Yeah. Or I did see something, what was it? I think it was Legion I was watching again, mention Legion again. But there was a line in that really stuck with me, and I think it's probably not something that they've written or come up with, but it was just very well delivered at that point in time. And it was men fear that women will laugh at them, and women fear that men will kill them. Yeah. And I thought, shit, that's like the worst thing that you could happen as a bloke is you go up to someone and say, hey baby, do you want to go for a drink? And they're like, fucking get out. You'd be like, that'd be soul crushing. You'd be like, oh no, I don't believe it. But for the opposite side of that is the woman like, well, if he doesn't take this news well, or if I say no, or if I do whatever, then potentially you could just kick the living fuck out of me until I die. Like, again, that's why these kind of messages are talked about more and shown more in TV and popular culture, because it's a message that people probably don't know. And because, again, they're not exposed to it, they think that it's been shoved down their throat. It's like, well, because you've probably watched endless number of films and shit where women are just being slapped on the arse and then they're nothing but distractions or fuck toys or whatever. So that's probably why it's more important to kind of have these messages shown now rather than just, put them back in the kitchen where they belong. It's that kind of mentality that people are trying to address, to say, like, that's why, they're making such a push for this kind of stuff, is to try and hopefully, increase that level of exposure. And maybe, like that line that stuck with me, there'll be something you go, oh shit, I didn't even think, maybe I have done that. And like, that is literally the first step of how you kind of grow and how you think about yourself as a normal, rational, civilized person is to say, well, maybe I have been part of the problem. Maybe I've, said something offensive or, being derogatory or sexist or whatever, and I've not even realised it because that's just sort of how you've been programmed or whatever. And, you see something like that makes you think, oh shit, well, I've done that, and that's how it made someone feel. Oh fuck, that's awful.
I think it's more concerning.
Like, if they can get one person to change their mind or think about what they've done,
it's better than none. But arguably, it's better that it doesn't happen. But I think it's more concerning that there's people out there that get offended by.
That is what I don't get, mate. That is what I don't get.
Even if it is forced down people's throats, it's stuff that happens daily. It's happening right now as we do this podcast. It's happening somewhere, and there's nothing better than just highlighting issues and not going, you need to change your ways, because ultimately you do you, whatever. But if you've got a problem with whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, whether they're straight, whether they're gay, no matter what person it is, if they're going through a problem on a show or a movie, and it's stuff that happens to millions of people all over the world daily, and you've got a problem with that being shown, all it shows is that you're part of the problem, because
like, you're the reason that they have to talk about this sort of stuff.
Yeah, they've only got themselves to blame.
And it's and it's like it's and don't get me wrong, like, it's when people are just sort of like it's the, well, not all men. Well, yeah, you're probably right. It's not like, to my knowledge anyway, I've never, I don't think I've raped anybody. I'd certainly fucking hope not.
I mean, I'd like to.
And I'm pretty sure that, and I'm pretty sure that if I was to, sit down with a bunch of people, that I've, slept with over the years and just sort of said, did that happen? Did you ever think that happened? I would be utterly devastated if anyone ever said that's, or they thought that was. Do you know what I mean? Like that would just be soul crushing for me. And I know that people, at least hopefully rational people, they try and grow and they try and go, well, I want to be a better person. I don't want to be offensive. Like, this is why I kind of got my whole mentality of just like, I don't really give a shit about anyone because I don't judge or discriminate against it. If you're a bellend, you're a bellend. Simple, and I don't care any label that you may associate yourself to. You're a bellend. Simple as.
You say male, female, gay, straight, whatever they choose to be. If the sound, the sound. If they're a knob, they're a knob. Doesn't matter who it is. And I think I'm on the same. I like to think I'm on the same page. I've never done anything bad like that. I've treated people poorly, like women in the past, and I know for a fact I have. But it's not an excuse. But I always look at it as, if I didn't do it then, I'd do it now. But I've learned. I know what not to do anymore. Okay. I'm still not going to delve into my sordid past, and I don't mean not like knocks women about and stuff, but I've gone from girl to girl to girl to girl and not being the best boyfriend in the world, but I've done all that, and I know it's not nice, and I wouldn't do that now. I'm far too lazy, but it's like, that much effort it would take to do that kind of stuff now.
I know. Yeah.
And I say it's not an excuse, but that's just probably as bad as I've ever been.
Mate, but I don't know. I mean, again, we're not in any position to kind of, this isn't a TED talk.
No. It's ultimately it's a pointless thing because it's some scenes of a show that's not what the show's about. They're just. But it's
what people have zeroed in on because they go, oh God, not another one of someone saying that women are abused or whatever. Well, do you know why? Because it still fucking happens. Yeah,
because it happens all the time.
I tell you what, as soon as everyone in the world starts being nice to each other, then maybe people would just talk about, the special effects or whatever. Yeah. But that's never ever going to happen.
Which have been improved.
It does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Looks
pretty good.
Than it
I like the fact that her hairstyle changes as well.
Yeah.
That she gets these huge locks of cool comic accurate hair, and then as soon as she changes back, it's just
shit.
Because this is the thing. When you've seen her in the the launch party photos when she's got that blonde hair and stuff like that, and it's just yeah, I know that's a wig straight away, and it's just oh, that's ruined it a little bit. But yeah, overall, I think it's a great start to a show. I mean, potentially, this is the thing. I don't care about the go woke go broke shit. If it turns out in 3 episodes it turns into dog shit, well, I'm not going to watch it anymore.
Simple as that. Really.
It's not going to stop me. But again, if you're getting worked up about that, then you're the problem.
Yeah, there's a difference between going She-Hulk's my favourite comic book character, and I don't like the way they've done this, and I'm not happy with the way that this part's gone. That's your opinion, and that's fine. But for the very first review that you picked up, to not be about the show, to just be about an environmental topic of something that's probably the only realistic part of the show, then that's not a reason to drag the review score down, because that's...
And then to make a point of, I don't usually do these sort of reviews, but I had to say, really, you had to.
That's either
you had to get it out there.
You have to do it because it's phenomenal and it's exceeded your expectations, and I need to just get my opinions out there, or it was the worst thing you've ever seen. And I don't normally do it, but I bought this thing on Amazon and I made an account just to write this review. Blah blah blah. Not for this. This is where you keep your mouth shut. If that's what you think, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I tell you what, there's absolutely no better people to explain that to everyone than two
internet critics,
boring straight white guys who don't know what they're talking about, but just trying to be better people.
Yeah, they're most of the comic nerds are just we're on about all I saw was big green boobs. Which is pretty hard.
I mean, nothing too. I mean, to be fair, there wasn't anything gratuitous that I remember. Of just she's stripped and she's like, oh my god, naked immediately.
Yeah, I mean,
there wasn't any kind of.
I thought they were going to do a boys' situation with Starf, where Starlight when Huey teleports them out of the way and all the clothes come off. I thought we'd have that kind of situation.
But again, it's not. But that's not like in a Michael Bay kind of like, oh, let's get them naked as soon as possible. It was like, one, you'd already established that that's what happens when this certain power is used, and two, he was protecting it, or thought he was protecting it.
Yeah.
So that was just a consequence of it. It wasn't just sort of like, oh my god, look, tits, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So again, there was a reason that you had that.
She also doesn't get to like Hulk-like levels. She's only marginally bigger than she is human. So as long as she wears baggy
she's like
enough clothes,
9 foot or something, I think.
but she wears like quite baggy clothes anyway. So,
but to be fair, at that point, she knew that was needed.
Yeah. But
so like again, you're going to get a suit that's got a bit of give in it, because you know that if you suddenly change, you don't want to just rip out of the whole thing.
Nah.
You just want to fill it out better.
You just wear that lycra get up underneath all the clothes that you wear.
I mean, to be fair, Bruce is kind of like that. It's just like your best friend is spandex. Yeah. I'd have like a wetsuit on underneath everything, just on the off chance that.
She's like Laura or whatever the name was. She said, "He's like wrong spandex."
Oh yeah, that's one thing that I could take or leave. Like probably going to be explored a bit later on in the series, but like the sort of like the weird, I'm better than you. Yeah, like lawyer bloke, and then like her mate.
Yeah.
If I never see them again, I'll be happy with that. But maybe
you need a Karen and a Foggy.
I guess that's true.
What if that becomes a thing? So you've got like her versus Matt, and then you got her two friends versus Karen
her team
and
versus
Foggy.
their team. I think that given what Foggy and Karen have had to deal with and they've dealt with like the Defenders and the Punisher, and I think they'd take him out.
Okay.
I don't think there'd be any question.
No, I mean, I'd argue and say Matt's probably a far better lawyer, and those two have, like I say, they've got the experience behind them to be actually useful. As annoying as characters as they have been in the shows, but they've got precedent. There's precedent there that they could help out, and I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm interested to see how it goes, and I hope it doesn't get worse. I like the first one, and if it stays on the same level all the way through, I'll be happy with that. If it gets better, I'll be happy with that. But it's disappointing that people have kind of jumped on the woke wagon, as it were.
Yeah, maybe, but this is the thing. Like, if you get it all out of the way, like, it becomes a bit more like it's easy enough to like. It doesn't become a question anymore of just like, oh my god, there's a gay person in this. I can't believe it. Like the whole Lightyear thing. But the more you do that, the more exposure that you have, the less that people will kick off about it. So in about 10, 20 years, maybe if we're lucky, you've got a gay couple in a Disney movie and people aren't going to lose their fucking minds about it.
They did it in the Baymax shorts.
I did. But that's the thing. I didn't watch them, but it's because I didn't like it.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. It's very vastly different to Big Hero 6. But there's a gay guy in that, and Baymax helps him to go on a date with a guy, and it's just like, that's a cool thing to be putting out there. They did quite a lot of stuff like that in a lot of the.
But I bet you there'll be a couple of Reddit threads about it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked into the internet to see who's kicked off about it and who's not happy about it, and especially the Lightyear.
Just assume someone.
Yeah, there'll be people
somewhere.
I mean, the fact that Lightyear was review bombed because of the lesbians. They're really. You see him for like 13 seconds. That's it.
Yeah,
it's not.
And then
issue.
literally after that,
don't get me wrong.
She's dead.
If it was a kids' film and they were scissoring each other, yeah, by all means, it's not family friendly anymore. But that's not because they're lesbians. That could be too heterosexual, like a man and a woman. They still shouldn't be having sex.
Nudity or whatever. Yeah,
but just the fact.
You prude.
But I mean, I'm fine with it. But it's just the problem with the internet is the internet.
Oh, here we go. It's one of Callum's famous rants about the problems with the internet.
No, the internet's the problem with the internet. It's
for sure.
Like us, we're given the ability to get our views and our opinions out there, but so's everybody else. And whilst I do think that we are reasonably objective. I know we had like a 40-minute rant about how wank Resident Evil is, but we're pretty objective, and there's a lot of stuff that you like, and there's a lot of stuff that I like, and there's stuff that we equally don't like or you like something and I don't like it. But I like to think that, particularly with Star Trek, I don't like Star Trek, but I know which bits that I do like. So, like First Contact and Picard and Strange New Worlds and Next Generation, and I've got a soft.
I mean, that's a lot of it already.
But I mean,
so...
I've got a soft spot for Voyager. Not a massive fan of it, but I can sit and watch it. However, any opportunity, if you say, "Do you want to watch Return of the Jedi?" or this, it'll be Return of the Jedi every single time. But I even though I wouldn't call myself a fan of Star Trek, I know why you like it. And I'm never going to go, well, you're wrong. Because it's your opinion. You like it.
Because you'd be wrong.
No, I mean, I'm always right. I just don't know what I'm saying.
Okay.
But no, it's the same with, like, we have a lot of back and forth with things. And then, like, I know you're not going to play Fortnite because you don't want to play it. But you can't turn around and say it's shit because, A, you've not played it. So you can't have that opinion of it. But it's the same as PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I don't like it, even though it's the same function and setup as Fortnite. I don't like the game. It's still a buggy mess to this day. But Bob wants to play it. Bob can play it. I don't fucking care. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Unless I have to play it, and then I take it all back. But no, the internet's too open for everyone to just mouth off, and I want it to stay open. I don't want it to be like any restrictions. It's just
a license.
I just think more so because we've been talking about it. Like, what do these actors fit? Like, when they are seeing these things, and they're seeing that the reason that it's getting slammed isn't because of their performance or something that's gone on in the show. It's over this thing that's not even. It wasn't even meant to be like a. Don't even fucking think about it. It's just like I say, it's a realistic thing that happens, and if you are upset over it, you're an absolute bellend. Simple as that.
I don't know, because I think that if they've got any sense, they won't even look.
Yeah, I suppose. Unless it's
they will have
positive.
No, I mean, presumably they'd be approached by people on the street, just like, oh my god, you're amazing, whatever. But I can't imagine there's a huge amount of actors or actresses or directors or writers or producers or whoever who will have people constantly just coming up to them in the street and going, well, that was shit that you think that you did. Like, people don't really want to start that conflict face to face. Sure, they'll whinge about it on the internet, or they'll start a subreddit about, I hate this person and this is why, and 500 people will jump on the bandwagon. Provided you don't look at it, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come up to you in the street and tell you that, are they?
Very true. Keyboard
so
warriors.
I think, a lot of people, I think that maybe they think that, it's just bollocks, ignore it. I reckon even after a while, what was the face from fucking bloody Star Wars who was bullied out of fucking, she was in Rise of Skywalker, not Rise of Skywalker. What was the second one? Not Force Awakens.
Jedi.
Last Jedi. So she was in that, and then she was basically just ripped apart online by people who just didn't like it. Presumably because, again, she was a woman, or she was a woman of Asian descent. Rose, that was the character. Yeah, and then she left Instagram, and then she didn't get a huge part in Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if that was the studio decision or if that was her decision, just sort of actually I want to distance myself from this character a lot.
I do think a lot of that was down to the weird Finn and Rose relationship that was kind of started, and then I think they moved away from it. So I'm not sure the ins and outs, but I know that was mentioned before. But Ruby Rose had it for Batgirl as well.
I mean, to be fair, if you're a woman taking any kind of role at this point, you're going to be scrutinised. Yeah. So I applaud anyone who's got the bollocks, pardon the pun, but to actually stand up there and go, well, fuck off. Again, I'm not bothered by the opinion or the crowing of bigots and misogynists. You're literally, I could not give a shit about what you think. You think that I can't do this because I'm a woman or whatever. Well, I absolutely couldn't give a fuck what you think about it.
And that's all right.
It's like when, if someone tears apart your performance because you're a terrible actress, well then
That's on you.
Maybe you've got every right to get a bit upset about that and take that to heart. But again, that's more just that is someone just critiquing your profession.
Yeah, but then you'll have someone that will go, actually, I disagree, and I think they did a good job, or they.
I think that's what the internet is kind of progressing to. There'll be as many people that will jump to someone's defence as there will be to put them down in the first place. And I think that with a lot of it, it is mainly just like, again, these are people that wouldn't go up to someone in the street and say this. They just say it to be inflammatory on, or like it's the same as like clickbait articles and stuff like that. Like no one probably thinks the stupid random bullshit that they say online. It's just it's a way to be noticed or different.
I do like that we've had this very quite poignant conversation on about like how people treat other people on the internet, and people should be nice to each other. We've got an entire game show about how wank Chad Kroger is.
I was talking about that the other day, funnily enough. I was showing, but that's his own fault for writing stupid fucking songs.
It's a great game show.
If that comes up and I happen to bump into him in the street and he says, "What do you think about my music?" I'll say, "Oh, mate, I've got several videos that I can show you about that.
I've got a game if you want to play it."
It's not good. Yeah,
I still think it's an excellent game show, and I suppose it's not necessarily going, this is a horrible person, or is this a horrible person? It's is this a bad? These lyrics, are they wrote by someone else or Chad Kroger? It doesn't say he's a bad person. It just says he writes awful songs.
Yeah, I've got no.
And musically, some of them are fine. It's just lyrically they're funny.
Yeah, the music I've got no real issue with. It's just that when I suppose maybe it's just one of those things that out of context, when you just sort of read them in the cold light of day without any melody behind it, you go, "What are you on about?"
Especially ones that we don't know the songs. So some songs you can read them and you're already singing it in your head because you know the melody, the tempo and everything else. But for ones like a lot of the Bad or Chad songs we've done, we don't know the songs, so it is just bonkers just reading some. We need to do some more of those because that was pretty good. That was.
Well, yeah, I funnily enough, because I was showing someone at the weekend those. I think it was the last one that we did, which was probably about 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah, probably about that.
It did make me think that we should probably go back to doing some more of these because I'm sure that they would have written some more songs by now.
Yeah, there's loads we haven't done.
Yeah,
it's harder finding ones that aren't Nickelback. But no, there's some good stuff on there. But again, I suppose that's not really the same. It's not the same thing.
Well, Callum, I was hoping that you were using that to segue into an outro.
I am.
And just be like, you can check out other stuff, but then you just sort of deviate straight back again.
I hadn't finished. But there's lots of stuff like that, as well as Let's Plays, more podcasts, more spoiler casts, animations, reviews, and everything else you can shake a leg at. And you can head over to www.podcastversusplay.com. As I said on the last podcast, the website's had a big old update. It navigates faster, it looks nicer. There's loads of things on there, so go and check it out. And Dan, unless you've got anything else, we're going to skedaddle, mate.
No, mate, that'll do. Thanks very much, everyone. Leave us a message on the wall if you so choose to do so. But if not, we'll catch you on the next one, I'm sure.
Excellent, Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye!